All right, here for the post race. Hopefully, this one works and doesn't cut out like the last one did. You have a poll question up already. Ryan pushing Joey was not a big deal. Cheating, the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. Those are the options on the poll. And let me jump in here and we'll get the running order and then we'll get to the points positions. Let's see. Joey Logano, of course, wins the race on a fuel mileage strategy, assisted by his teammate Ryan Blaney. They saved at the pump. Ryan Blaney helps Joey Logano save at the pump. You know the commercial I'm talking about. Christopher Bell finishes second. He had the best car, leading 155 laps today, but just wasn't meant to meet 19 bonus points. So he maximizes that, but just doesn't get the win. Although he had probably the best car in the field. Daniel Suarez also on that fuel saving strategy at the end of the race. He winds up in third. William Byron winds up fourth here. Good car for him. Good run for him. Alex Bowman, his teammate, is fifth. Martin Truex Jr. here ends up in sixth place. A nice solid run for the Bass Pro Shop Chevy. Was up front for most of the day. Ross Chastain, nice seventh place finish. So two top tens for the Trackhouse gang there. Denny Hamlin finishes eighth. He was also on that fuel mileage strategy, and he basically needed that to finish where he finished because he did not have the pace today. John Hunter Nemechek, nice run for Legacy. Legacy needed that run today. I said they had speed. John Hunter Nemechek was the only one that had, could do anything with the speed that they had today, even though they qualified poorly. But he was also on that fuel mileage strategy as well. 10th place for Chris Buescher, 11th for Kyle Larson. P12 is going to be Bubba Wallace, Kyle Busch, 13th, Corey LaJoie, 14th. So, yep, he finishes in front of Justin Haley here. Justin Haley in 17th. So Corey LaJoie wins this round of the trade. Harrison Burton finishes 15th. Zane Smith 16th. Justin Haley 17th. Noah Gregson 18th. Daniel Hemrick 19th. Michael McDowell 20th. Cody Ware 21st. And then the rest of your running order all the way down to 37th is going to be Ryan Preece, Carson Osfar, Josh Berry, Eric Jones, Chase Briscoe, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Jimmy Johnson, Shane Van Gisbergen, Ty Gibbs, Todd Gilliland, Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, Austin Cindric, Tyler Reddick, Brad Keselowski, and Austin Dillon, who is going to get the last place finish here, first on Earth too. For whatever reason, Daniel Hemrick decided that he had had enough and just completely booted the Boot Barn Chevrolet into the wall early on in the wreck. So that was good. But your playoff driver is finishing pretty low here. 35th playoff driver Tyler Reddick, 33rd playoff driver Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney 32nd. So some of your playoff drivers having trouble, individual trouble for each playoff driver, but just not a good day. Tyler Reddick with that flip there. On the mile and a half. Chase Elliott had some type of suspension issue that he had to fix after getting contact in an incident. And Ryan Blaney, of course, back there, just not Ryan Blaney's week. Not Ryan Blaney's week at this race at all. And then your next playoff driver is going to be 11th with Kyle Larson. So Kyle Larson with a decent finish. The rest of your playoff drivers finish well, but those three did not. Speaking of that, let's take a look at the points as they stand. As long as everybody gets through tech and whatever, Joey Logano is locked in. Christopher Bell is going to be at plus 42, plus 35 for Kyle Larson, and plus 27 for Fast Willie B. William Byron. As it stands right now, those would be the four in on the way to Homestead, and of course the cutoff race, the race after that at Martinsville. Denny Hamlin, your first man out. He is now at minus 27 to William Byron, minus 30 for Tyler Reddick, minus 47 for Ryan Blaney, and minus 53 for Chase Elliott. So with two races to go, I can confidently say that Denny Hamlin is in a win to get in situation with the rest of these guys. Minus 27, going to be a lot of points to make up unless one of these guys above them have some serious trouble. Tyler Reddick, minus 30, minus 47 for Blaney. And like I said, minus 53 for Chase Elliott. I'm feeling like everybody from 5th to 8th just has to be in a win to get in mentality. Denny Hamlin, very good at Martinsville. I would look for him to sort of make some noise at Martinsville, so he's not going to be completely out of it. Tyler Reddick is really good at Homestead, so I wouldn't sleep on him. Ryan Blaney, he won Martinsville last year. Chase Elliott has had strong runs at Martinsville as well. Not sure his numbers at Homestead, Miami. So this thing is far from over because we could have two more winners. And regardless of where anybody is in points, two more winners. And as it stands now, Christopher Bell would be the last man in on points. And two winners could bump out Larson and Byron here as things stand now, with Joey Logano being the only one locked in. All right, let's jump into the chat and see what you guys want to talk about. Say Kyle saying the 24 should. Oh yeah, by the way, we do have a poll question. Ryan pushing Joey was not a big deal. Cheating, the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. That is one answer. So that's going to get 16% right now. 21% says cheating. 63% says not a big deal. Not 19 votes in as it stands right now. And I will save my judgment for the end of it. No, I won't. I'm just going to say it now. I don't think it's a big deal. It's been done before. You've seen it all the time. The only rule that comes to my mind is you can't push them on the last lap, but you can push them and help them every lap before that. And that is as long as they're under their own power. This goes back to like, oh man, this is like a Harry Gant deal back in the day. I want to say his teammate was pushing him, if I'm not mistaken. Rick Mast, Harry Gant situation, all the way back in like 92 or 89, somewhere in there. I don't know. Anyway, 24 should have stayed out, says Say Kyle. Indeed. I probably would have benefited him. Speaking of commercials, the Target Wicked commercial might be the worst I've ever seen. So bad, says Say Kyle. Yeah, they had a few commercials that were cringe worthy. Xylophil or whatever it's called. That was that's one that they're really wearing that one out. The old carrot, the snapping carrot, bent carrot or whatever situation. Joe has been from the and that's the other thing. Even year, Joey Logano, Joe Minum. The Joe Minum is real in even years. So it is what it is. Joe has been from the bottom to the top in 7 days, says Rodney Collier. Hey, and that's the playoffs. That is the playoffs. It does create excitement, regardless of how you feel about it. I don't personally like it, but I can't take away from the fact that it does create excitement, although it be manufactured excitement, but it is what it is. Excitement nonetheless. Did we race on Earth 2 today? John Hunter Nemechek finishes ahead of Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick, and Chase Elliott. Yeah, it was a bizarre finishing order. A lot of cars had a lot of trouble. It was just a very interesting day. Bruce Garvey saying, "Dear YouTube, we really don't mind the commercials. Please don't kill BB's podcast again." Says Bruce. Yeah, that was interesting. It was interesting. My internet was completely fine, but the live stream was just abruptly cut off. So we will not talk about that, which we will not talk about anymore. I'm a Joey fan, but I hate it for C-Bell. I know he was gutted. I hope he recovers. Yeah, it's a tough way to lose a race. But whenever somebody wins a fuel mileage race like that, it's always kind of like that. But especially now that you have the added pressure of the playoffs, definitely a situation where you want to maximize days like that and to have one, sort of out strategy to win a race, I guess is the best way to say it. To get beat in strategy when you have the fastest car, that is always a tough one to take, especially in a playoff format. They push each other at Talladega, Daytona, and Atlanta. Why is it different at Las Vegas? Yeah, that's where I'm at with it, Robert Stone. But I know a lot of people just gauging from social media. A lot of people were not happy with it. It's been done before. This isn't even the first time it's happened this year. We've seen it at other racetracks, so it's sort of it is what it is. But you saw some people upset about it. I have a feeling they were upset about it because of who won. Joey Logano, of course, has a lot of detractors. He is one of the ones that they make put in the villain role for storytelling purposes. Him, I would say Denny Hamlin would be another person they put in the villain role. Kyle Busch used to be, but now he's become sort of the Stone Cold Steve Austin because he went to Chevrolet. He's supposed to be like the bad guy, but the people like him anyway now. So that's I don't know. Sort of is what it is. Let's see. See you at the Ville, BB. I will see you there as well, Rodney. Martinsville. Number 22 says, Rodney, NASCAR needs to go back to a solid axle. I think a lot of the teams would definitely be happy with that. Also on Tuesday, I called the 22 would win, just saying. Yeah, I mean, you can't count them out. I was talking about it on the pre-race. You never count out Joey Logano in an even year, and you never count out Joey Logano when things bounce his way. He seems to ride that momentum pretty well. So, yeah, I agree with you 100%. Can the 49ers injuries please freaking stop, says Joseph. I wish they would, man. I really wish they would. Wouldn't it be ironic if Joey Logano did not pass Tex, says Joseph Wooten? Yeah, I mean, that definitely would be ironic. I don't know if it's going to happen that way, but it certainly it would be it would spark a lot of conversation. We'll put it to you that way. Hi, y'all from North Idaho. What's up, Cassandra? What's up, North Idaho? The commercials during a live stream are the worst, says PC Gone Rogue. We won't talk about it, though, because we won't talk about it because I don't know if that was the reason, but something that, or if it was just a glitch, but we're gonna move on from it. Another car on the roof, says PC Gone Rogue. Yeah, you can't you can't once cars hit a certain mile per hour, you can do what you want to, but it's going to be really difficult to stop them from flipping. I mean, you can, I guess make it less probable that it happens, but it's never going to be completely taken all the way out. Super speedways, mile and a half, anywhere where you get over probably 150, 160 miles per hour, I guess. Flip counter in 2024 is now at 6. So there you go. We've had 6 flips this year. I put my hand up on my hip. When you dip, I dip. We flip. There you go. Taking it back to what was that song? Was that Trick Daddy? I think that's Trick Daddy. Let's see. PC Gone Rogue, thumbs up. B says for the the flip counter at being at 6 this year. If anyone else won today, people would be giving this race tens. It had it all, says Bumblebee. Yeah, the first stage was kind of like cut and dry, but after that, there was a lot of drama and momentum. But yeah, for sure, definitely a lot of people don't like Joey Logano. So whenever he wins, they're going to find ways to take away from the win. I guess same thing with Denny Hamlin, and insert whatever other villainous driver. Everybody has their own villainous driver that they pull against. I don't pull against anybody. It's just I don't know. I've been doing it too long to have people I don't like. I'll put it that way. For those who don't like Coda, I found it interesting that Sainz and Verstappen were saying how much they enjoyed the track in the cool down room. Says Bruce Garvey. I think it's a really nice facility. So race car drivers typically like different things than fans like. So I don't necessarily think that judging what a race car driver likes versus what a fan likes, that's not really 9 times out of 10. That's probably going to be a different thing. But I wish Blaney would realize he's no better for what he did than trashing Ross at Phoenix last year. So to sort of elaborate what he's talking about there, last year, Ryan Blaney was quite critical of how Ross Chastain drove because he wasn't a playoff driver. And he basically was saying you shouldn't affect the playoffs if you're a non-playoff driver. That, of course, is when Ryan Blaney was in the playoffs and Ross Chastain was not. And so today, Ryan Blaney, although he's in the playoffs, he was out of contention to win the race. He was pushing his teammate. So a little bit of if he's not going for the win or whatever, I guess a little bit of a hypocritical stance from that standpoint, but not shocking at all. If you've ever met a race car driver, it's do as I say, not as I do, because race car drivers are perfect little angels when they're sitting in that seat. But anybody else around them is wrong, and there's no consistency to it. They're just hypocrites. That's really the only way to put it. So yeah, it is what it is. Race car drivers can do it to other people, but when it's done to them, they will in fact complain, and that's just that's racing. That's racing. That's the only way to put it. I feel like Blaney's block has been a Penske staple, just the same as Joey making the Final Four. Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, there's certain things in racing that are always just going to be. I don't know. They'll always complain about it when it's done to them. This is the best way to say it. They'll always complain about it when it's done to them, but when they do it to other people, they'll just be like, "Well, yeah, they did it to me." So it's a circle. It's a circle. So that's why I don't pay attention to any of it. I just talk about it, and that's just the way it is. They're going to be hypocrites. That's part of sports, period. Not just racing, but sports, period. Bumblebee, he did it to Ross the year before, says Charlotte. The 12 and the 22 is a nothing burger to me, short of team orders just to pull over. I have no issues with helping a teammate. Yeah, I'm in the same boat with you on that one. As far as that goes, I didn't see it being a big deal, but like I said, a lot of people threw their hands up in the air and said, "Oh, that's cheating," and like that's literally. I want to say there was a race this year where a teammate pushed another teammate, if I'm not mistaken, on a fuel saving deal. Might have been was it maybe Ty Gibbs or something like that? I can't remember off the top of my head. I want to say Ty Gibbs this year, but it might be somebody totally different. But yeah, I don't have a problem with it. And as somebody pointed it out earlier, it's no different than those guys drafting at plate tracks to be totally fair on the point. I wonder if Reddick would have stayed upright if there wasn't the grass and the oval track at that section on the track. I don't think it really would have mattered. Like everybody's like, "Oh, we got to get rid of the grass. We got to get rid of the grass." Well, Ryan Preece had the biggest pirouette, flip, spin, zippity doo dah day crash of all time at Talladega, and Talladega is completely paved. So if it makes everybody feel better, I guess we can get rid of all the grass and put turf in or whatever makes you feel better. But the cars are still going to flip at the end of the day. So I don't know. How far do you want to take it? Do you want all the racetracks to look like ugly gray ovals? It is what it is. Like sort of. So I don't know. I don't know that necessarily is as big a deal as they make it out to be, but they're gonna call for it, and then they're gonna pave all these tracks, and the same thing, in my opinion, the same thing is still gonna happen. I don't think it's really gonna help too much. Reddick flipped because the suspension broke under the car. So yeah, that's just the way it is. Once it happens, once you break a piece, a component, NASCAR can't simulate a broken component on a race car. They can do all these simulation runs, but they can't predict exactly how a piece of equipment is gonna fail. So they make the cars as safe as possible, but once you're going a certain speed, it doesn't matter what you do. You can have the whole thing paved, but once you hit a certain speed and they hit a certain angle, the lift is going to happen, and the car is gonna flip and flip over. So I don't know. NASCAR fans, oh my god, I can't believe they pushed each other. Also, NASCAR fans, I can't believe a Chevy didn't help another Chevy at Daytona. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Fans are hypocritical too. That's a fair point to make. I didn't necessarily address that. But fans, when they want a certain driver to win, they're like, yeah, they should have done this. But if somebody does the exact same thing they wanted them to do, and it's a driver they don't want to win, they're like, oh, that's cheating. They shouldn't be allowed to do that. That's 100%. That's 100% a fair and accurate thing to say as well. So not only are the drivers hypocrites, but the fans are hypocrites. Let's see. As a Newman fan, I just hate when a car digs into the grass. Yeah, I understand it. I totally understand it, but I think you're still going to have just as many flips with it completely paved as you would with grass. But it is what it is. I mean, if they want to pave them all, I'm not against it. Like if they really think that that's going to be safer, I just don't think once the car gets sideways and there are broken components under it, it's going to stick on something. Because even with concrete and with asphalt, there's going to be cracks in the track. There's always going to be something to stick and catch that car at a weird angle and make it flip. Also, plus if it just gets sideways, gets another car behind it, gets into the wall at a certain angle, and another car hits it, you're just never going to stop them from flipping. But I guess you can do the most to prevent them from flipping as often. So, of course, the biggest deal is you got to redesign the underneath of the car. Like that's going to be the thing that helps the most. And NASCAR is to this date unwilling to do that. So we'll have to see. I feel like the underbody is still the bigger issue as far as that stuff goes. But today it was the suspension that made the flip, so I don't want to get off on that tangent. What's up in between the lanes? Good to see you on here. The guy was 8 laps down. He shouldn't have been messing with the leaders, says Duke Chronic, and that's essentially the same argument he was making against Ross Chastain, who he said is not in the playoffs. He shouldn't be affecting the playoff when he won the championship last year. So, like I said, Ryan Blaney believes that, except when Ryan Blaney's in the position to help his teammate. So, and all race car drivers are going to be like that. Almost had a correct prediction, says in between the lanes. I give my MVP award to Daniel Suarez today. He earned that top three finish. He did. He did. It was a great run for the 99. Great strategy, and he executed it very well. Top 10 for Martin Truex Jr. Indeed. Indeed. Good run for Truex as well. Christopher Bell dominated. It looked like, yeah, Christopher Bell had it under control, but he did not. He pitted a little bit too late and didn't do the he could have either done the fuel mileage thing or he could have pitted earlier, but either way he needed to do something. 22 baby, let's go. Shout out to Blaney, says Russell Dominguez. Indeed, teamwork makes the dream work. John Hunter Nemechek, ninth place finish. Good strong run for Nemechek. He needed that. I feel like I hate when the 22 or the 12 make it to the final four, because the one that is not in the championship sits and blocks for the other one. Let the guys race, says James Burns. Yeah, but until NASCAR makes a rule about it, it's fair play. And I don't know if NASCAR can make a rule about it. Jason Carney says, fire Blake Harris. So there you go. He's not happy with, there's your fist bump. Appreciate the super chat, my friend. He's not happy with Blake Harris's performance. Blake Harris, they talked about it today on the broadcast. Blake Harris said he just measured everything to get it as close as possible, and he mismeasured. So he took full responsibility for it today. He was just trying to have that thing on the razor's edge, and he went a little too far. And yeah, took it too far, basically, is all you can say about it. And that was that. So there you go. The flip side of that would be he got him to the round of 8, right? So if it wasn't for that penalty, that penalty, or even without that penalty, he got him to the playoffs. So it's one of those things. He'll learn from it. He'll get better. And I think going forward in the future, he won't ever make that mistake again. But I think he's starting to develop a good rapport with his driver, and they're forming a pretty strong bond. So I don't know if I'd fire him just yet, but I understand where you're coming from. It was a pretty bad mistake. There's no doubt about that. It's not embarrassing to be NASCAR fan because of the format, but but more how our fans complain about everything. They're never happy. Just enjoy what we have, says Clean Clo. Yeah, I think that's a fair statement. NASCAR fans do like to complain, and part of that is if you go on social media and you say something negative, you get rewarded far more often because you get according to scientists, you get a dopamine hit whenever somebody likes something or comments on something. Uh, so when you post something negative, it gets more likes and comments than when you post something positive. So you're actually kind of being conditioned to complain about stuff. So part of it is social media, and part of it is NASCAR fans only pull for one driver or a group of drivers, and they complain about the rest of the drivers. And like I said, with social media basically rewarding negativity, to be totally honest, that's kind of where that comes from. But yeah, for sure. Had all the JGR and the 22 in fantasy today. Pretty decent points day for me. And I called the 22 on Tuesday stream. Logano gets chip number 3 while I puke in the background, says Say Kyle. So Say Kyle, a huge Joey Logano fan, as you can tell from that right there. I don't know, man. It's not over with yet. Your driver is still in it, so I would just stay focused on the positive. Fast Willie B still in it, still in a very good position, strong amount of points in front of everybody else. So long as nobody else wins, so that's not him. How about that, or that's below the top 4, I guess I should say. How about that, Joey Logano? I called it, says Jamie Schweitzer. Yeah, indeed, Joey Logano. In an even year, he's got what I like to call Joe Minimum. It's we're coming up on Jovember, and he's got Joe Minimum, and he's in the playoffs, and it's an even year. So don't sleep on the 22. They let him creep back into the playoffs, and now he's going to make him pay for it because he has locked himself into the Final Four. If Denny Hamlin and Blake Harris had a crew chief, he'd be a 3-time champ. Fire old Gabe, says Cody Ledger. Chris Gabehart's, of course, who he's referring to there. Austin Dillon hit the wall, says in between the lanes. Yeah, that was interesting. I really don't understand. Daniel Hemrick is usually a pretty clean, from what I've seen, a pretty clean race car driver. I don't know what he was thinking there. Like, he just, at a very fast racetrack, just completely cleaned out Austin Dillon. I don't know what preceded that. I don't know why he did that. If there was something, but that was dirty. Like, that was pretty bad because he just drove right through him. He never lifted. He never attempted to lift. He just ran into the back bumper and yeeted him into the wall at a pretty high rate of speed. So that's interesting. I'd like to hear the backstory. I'd like to hear Hemrick's side of it because from what I saw, it was just looked like a frustrated driver that just drove through the 3 car there. Uh, you know, very interesting. I wasn't expecting that from Hemrick. So very interesting. Interesting development there. The 20 team planned it out. Past the 99 with 3 to go, and they did that, says Duke Chronic. They did. And they did pass the 99 with about that much time to go, but they didn't pass the 22. So so they miscalculated a little bit. I don't think they were expecting the 12 to be helping the 22 either, though. So they didn't factor that in, and that's, like I said, you can calculate everything, you can simulate everything, but you can't factor in all the variables that you can't think about. From out of the playoffs to ranked first in a week, way to go, says hi Jamie Schweitzer. Yeah, pretty wild ride for the 22 gang. I just want to see a Ford win the championship, wondering how terrible they were at the beginning of the season, considering how terrible they were at the beginning of the season. Yeah, they started off very slow. But like I said Toyota and Ford second half of the season, I think they'll make significant gains on the Chevrolet body, and they have. I think Chevrolet is going to win the manufacturers championship, but Ford and Toyota have definitely caught them, and you can see the speed. And I think it's going to be slim pickings, in my opinion, next year for Chevrolet if they don't change the body. Next year better be the last year for this body, in my opinion, because Toyota and Ford have caught them, and they're fixing to surpass them pretty significantly, in my opinion. Let's see. 24 team has been traditionally awful on flat short tracks. Even if we make the 4, I'm not super optimistic they run top 10 or 22 or 20 are the ones to watch in Phoenix, says Say Kyle. Yeah, but to counter that, Martinsville is relatively doesn't have a ton of banking that you can use, and he's pretty stout there at Martinsville. So if they can figure out what they've got going on at Martinsville and somehow translate it to Phoenix, yeah. But I do agree with you. The Penske cars at Phoenix, they're good. They're good. So now you're in trouble. And the 20 car, if he can get to the Final Four and make it to Phoenix, which it looks pretty strong for him right now, Yeah, you got to worry about him too. So yeah, right as it stands right now, if the two Penske cars make it to Phoenix and Bell, I would definitely be worried about them. Whoever is outside of that would definitely be the underdog. If you hear the race is official, let us know, says Rodney Collier. Indeed, I will. Indeed, I will as soon as I find out. Let's see. Dylan's hit was about as bad as Larson's at Atlanta, says Bumblebee. Yeah, it was. I mean, straight head on into the wall. It was kind of bad. Dylan got the curse of Richmond. Hashtag 22 says Rodney Collier. Yeah, so turnabout is fair play. I don't know if I do turnabout at this track though. This track's a lot faster than Richmond. But yeah, for sure. The 22. Depending on how you look at it, either the 3 is cursed since Richmond, or the 22 broke the curse of Richmond. Either way, it's even year, and he's got Joe Minham. So I'm just gonna keep. I'm gonna make that word a thing. It's gonna happen. Some good news though, a serial predator ruptured his Achilles today. So there's that, says I say Kyle. Of course, referring to the Browns quarterback, who shall remain nameless. All alone as the 25th winningest Cup driver, passing Martin Truex Jr. and Kyle Busch, 2 behind Bad Brad. So there you go, 25th all time there for Jolo. 69 watching. Nice. Hey, there you go, Charlotte. I appreciate that. Look at that. It's like nice 69 watching. Excuse me, Kurt Busch, says Jamie Schweitzer. The one time Chase Elliott has good speed, he gets taken out. He's been fairly consistent in the playoffs, and then, of course, gets caught up in a wreck here. Him and Martin Truex, of course, kind of just going for it right there. And then they had, Tyler Reddick was on the outside. So that was a big pile up, cost a lot of playoff drivers a lot of points there. Hemrick about to get suspended. LOL, says Bumblebee. Well, it wasn't a right hook, so I don't think he's going to get suspended, but he definitely, I'd like to hear his side of it before I say anything further, but it looked pretty intentional, and pretty much like, I don't know. I don't know what he was thinking there. Pretty early in the race to be that aggressive, and you're racing for the lucky dog. Like, so I don't, and I don't know. It was interesting, but I'll wait till he gives his side of it before I comment further. John P saying, "Hey BB, I ate a bologna sculpture of a 454 big block. I licked the piston holes and filled them with yellow mustard. The artist called me a bad boy, and we exchanged numbers. Sounds like you got a good friend there. Sounds like you got a hot date lined up. So good for you, and I'm proud of you. A 454 big block is nothing to turn your nose up at. That's a massive amount of baloney. So congratulations, my friend, on your newfound friend. Let's see here. As the poll stands right now, Ryan pushing Joey was not a big deal at 52%. Cheating is at 19%. The end of the world as we know it, 14%. And I feel fine, another 14%. So 28% is feeling the REM. All right. Blaney, not a big deal. And I feel fine, says Sha. I like what you did there, my friend. All right. That looks like the last one. That flip was crazy, says Glock. Yeah. So, yeah, the flip was crazy. It was sort of like out of nowhere. I think if what was it, the left front tire? I think if the left front tire hadn't have broke when they made contact and stuck in, I don't think he necessarily would have flipped. But I think it was more of a suspension thing. I think even on, people are going to say it's because of the grass, but I think it even would have stuck on asphalt. But it is what it is. Which HMS drivers won't make the Final Four, BB? I don't know. Hard to say. Right now, it's looking really long odds for the 9 car. So we can say him for sure. But the playoffs are crazy. 2 wins and everything's shaking up. So you never know. The second time in the playoffs, Blaney has helped Joey win. He also blocked Ross in 2022 at Phoenix. And then it was funny. He got mad at Ross the next year. Yeah, for sure. No doubt about it. BB, San Francisco moving with 11 minutes to go, says Bruce Garvey. I'm not even going to watch it because as soon as I watch it, they'll do something stupid. So I'm just out on it. I'm going to check the final score and keep my blood pressure down. 9 is toast, says I say Kyle. Yeah, he's got long odds, but believe it or not, he's really, really good at Martinsville. So if they can find one of those setups, man, he had a really fast car one year, and they had some type of weird suspension issue back when he had a green Mountain Dew car. If they can find that type of setup again, they're going to be something to tangle with. So Martinsville is going to be big. There's a lot of really good drivers at Martinsville that are going to be needing to make that playoff race. So Martinsville could be a barn burner. The other 3 drivers who make the championship 4, Better hope it doesn't become a fuel mileage race, says Dirty Death. Indeed, indeed, because Penske's got the fuel mileage game down, no doubt about it. 9 is indeed toast, says Charlotte Ander. Maybe Logano helps Blaney going for war, says Shah. Lions 5-1 now, says Glockspus. Yeah, so no, was that the last undefeated team? I think the last undefeated team just got off there by the Lions. Vikings fall to 5-1. Was a good game though. Was a good game. Jamie Schweitzer, peace to you as well, my friend. Penske seems seems to be a damn good team player, says Shaw. I think so too. Check in on Icebergs. Vikings lost today, says say Kyle. I'm sure Iceberg's fine. 454 baloney comment has to be one of the best of the year. Yeah, John P. John P. outdid himself on that one. That was top notch. That was top notch. He needs to go do some creative writing somewhere. Like he's got legitimate talent. There's no doubt about that. They did, says Glockopus. It was a slobber knocker. Yeah, the Detroit game was definitely a good one. Sorry, the Garvey curse works again, says Bruce. Gaypart is a great crew chief, and he's trying to win a championship with a great driver who is an absolute head case, says Dirty Death. I don't know about head case, but Denny Hamlin, if he doesn't win a championship, there's a good chance he goes down as the greatest driver to never win a championship. You have to put him in, at least in the conversation, if not the greatest. You have to put him in the conversation with Junior Johnson and Mark Martin. There's no doubt about that. Monster Shot says, I'm pumped, BB. Yeah, your man got in. Nice avatar. Look at him. He's got the 22 avatar going. He's ready to roll. Yeah, your man, he got new life to be back in the playoffs, and his team executed even though they didn't have the fastest car. The 22 is never out of it. That's one thing you learn about even years. You just never count the 22 car out. For all the bad luck the 5 car had, Larson did good. That's a good point, Benny B. So Larson at one point was 2 laps down. That was pretty legit. That he came back from that and was able to get a solid finish out of it. There's no doubt about that. Iceberg claiming Joey shouldn't be in the championship because of 5 overtimes at Nashville is the only reason he got in, says Dirty Death. Well, I mean, you can point out so that's one thing you can do with stuff like that, but you can go back and look at several other things. You can always nitpick 1 or 2 things that NASCAR might have missed as a call here, missed as a call there, and you can take out one driver here, put in one driver there. It is what it is. RCR fans would argue Austin Dillon should have been in the playoffs, and that would have knocked somebody out, possibly Joey or whoever. So you can argue it all day, back and forth, one way or the other. But it is what it is. That's who's in the playoffs now, and that's all I can go on. I don't like to go back in time and do stuff like that. That's so hard. And Iceberg's the man. I love Iceberg. He's a good dude. But I'm not a big go back in time and say, oh, this guy shouldn't have been in the playoffs because of this. I just go off of what NASCAR ruled. I might not like what NASCAR ruled, but after I do my one episode about how I don't like what NASCAR ruled, I just move on with it from there, and I keep it going, and just talk about it from there on out, because you can drive yourself insane going back and looking at what NASCAR should and shouldn't have done. Promise you that. Jamie Schweitzer with the super chat here. Mo Joey is on Logano's side. Yeah, the Mo Joey, the Joe Minham. He's definitely got that on his side. Appreciate you there, Jamie Schweitzer. There's no doubt about that. It's an even year, and he's proven that it's not a superstition if it's true. Not sure I could accept Hamlin being as good as Martin, says Shaw. Well, if you just go by the numbers, Mark Martin didn't have as good equipment for as long a period of time as Denny Hamlin, but I'm just going off of numbers. For me, the guys that raced in the 80s and 90s will always be better than anybody driving now. That's just the way it is, because when you're a kid and you're looking at those drivers drive, they are absolute superheroes. The older you get, the less superhero-like they get, because you have a better understanding of the world, and that's just kind of how it works. Right? Who has more W's, Mark or Denny? Denny has more W's. He passed him either last year or the year before that, I want to say. What's up, BB, with Riley Herbst backing behind him? Do you think Haas will move him up the Cup or keep another charter? Riley Herbst is going to go to probably, allegedly, in my opinion, 2311. He just can't announce it yet because, well, they got the lawsuit going. So I think after November 4th, I think is when they have the first hearing or whatever. As far as that goes, I think you'll see 2 drivers have a seat after that. One of those drivers is going to be Zane Smith going to front row, and the other driver is going to be Riley Herbst going to 2311. I think after November 4th, that's when all that stuff will get announced. It's to me, in my opinion, I think it's already inked or close to being inked. They're just being held up by the legal situation. Next time a driver has won to back at the track, I wouldn't let him three-peat because something usually happens. People thought Larson was a lock today. I didn't think it was a lock today necessarily. I never think anybody's a lock because it's racing, right? Anything can happen. But he had the best numbers here. He had the best numbers here statistically. So he was a pretty good pick for fantasy. But as you saw, luck did not bounce his way today, and he didn't have the speed. And they didn't go with the strategy to stay out for fuel because he doesn't like the fuel mileage race. Now Martin Truex Jr. and Mark Martin, that's two peas in a pod, says Shaw. I was like, well, Bowman wouldn't have been in either without tire strategy at Chicago. After that win, his playoff performance didn't pick up until the playoffs. Indeed. And he had a good playoffs going until the DQ. Mark, 40 Ws. Denny, 54 Ws. I think Denny takes Mark's crown if Denny never wins the Cup. Piece of history, Mark Martin won a Cup race under caution, then pulled in one lap early. and the place in one, says James Martin. Indeed. So he technically could have 41. I don't remember if that was a Cup race or a Busch race, but I do remember that race 100%. So I guess it would actually be 41 if he if the spotter had done his job that day. Now NASCAR is blocking the potential sale of those charters to front row in 2311, which is very interesting because I doubt it will be resolved by the clash of the 500. Yeah, so it's one of those weird situations. You think NASCAR will approve the sale of front row in 2311? Could have RFK or Trackhouse swoop in and pick up those charters if NASCAR doesn't play nice with the team suing. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. That's going to be a very interesting thing because then that might be like an additional lawsuit that 2311 and front row could bring, depending on how things play out. It's just going to be really interesting going from there. Second place car won. Sorry, says James Byrne. Busch Series where Mark pitted early, says Dirty Duff. I was thinking it was the Busch Series because I was thinking it was the Winn-Dixie car. I might be mistaken about that, but I think he was driving the Winn-Dixie car when that happened. Martin's race was Busch at Dover. I think Todd Bodine won the Onion. Old Todd Bodine. Mark Martin pulling to the pits too early, I believe, 1995, driving the Winn-Dixie Ford in the Busch Series at Dover. So we've narrowed it down to the year, the race, and the sponsor. We're doing pretty good, and the number was number 60, so we all know that. So good job to everybody that chipped in there. We for once, without using Google, we nailed what race that was. Yeah, our brains still work. Jimmy Johnson did not finish last, so there's that. Hey, Jimmy Johnson had a clean race and didn't wreck, so good for him. Proud of you, Jimbo. Is this the first race Jimmy Johnson has had with Legacy where he hasn't crashed? He's had one other one. He finished one other race, so this is the second one. Mark Martin was just hilarious in the interview where he effed himself. What's never talked about is everyone at 2311 didn't agree with not signing. Denny might have signed it if it was just him, but now he's miserable. Says Dirty Death. Yeah, it's always interesting to see which parties push things forward and pursue things. So that's going to be a huge story for probably another couple years as to all the little tentacles that are going to come out from that and how it plays out. And I said on the previous video, which I still haven't even got to the comments. I just saw it the other day, and that video did very well. I was not expecting a 3 a.m. video to do that well, but man, I appreciate all y'all who watched it. I will get to those comments. I have been going nonstop since about Thursday. I am probably going to catch up on some sleep tonight, and then I will get hard back at it and make the video tomorrow. I will try to answer all the questions from that video. But yeah, appreciate everybody who watched it and who chimed in. I answered a few of them, but I couldn't delve into all of them. I'd say 2311 and front row charters will be sold to Dale Jr. They have destroyed themselves, says Mr. Monk. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with them. I'm just going to let it play out because I'm not a legal expert, so I don't know anything about how it's going to play out. How the mighty have fallen. Imagine telling people in the 2010s, this is how Jimmy Johnson would run. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. No doubt about that. This is the first thing I've ever supported Denny Hamlin on, says James Burns. A lot of people are kind of in that boat. The two charters, the 2311 and front row, might be their only teams that will be chartered. Says Duke Chronic. Thanks for the stream, BB. No problem, Dirty Diff. Go hard, BB. Hit the NOS button. No doubt. I've been hitting the NOS button. I need a new bottle. I need the bottle filled up. Shy. I've been hitting the NOS button since about Thursday. If NASCAR is able to get the 2311 and front row charters, I predict a new team with a new manufacturer coming soon. I predict a new manufacturer with a team coming soon as well. Hearing some rumblings. I just don't know how soon it'll be. Don't know how soon it'll be. Possibly two manufacturers, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I wonder if Stuart Haas leaving had to do with the charters, says Jimmy Schweitzer. I don't know. I think Tony Stewart had just been getting increasingly soured on NASCAR, and I think the final, the death knell, as you would call it, was when Ford blocked his acquisition of Kyle Larson. I think he just got tired of the sport altogether after that. I was hoping JJ would beat SVG just for pride. SVG just driving ovals this year, says Dirty Duff. Yeah, but they finished pretty close to each other. Very interesting. Very interesting also that Toyota, when they're saying goodbye to David Wilson, they use Jimmy Johnson as the first person to say goodbye to David Wilson. And I was like, I don't know if legacy is really the first thing you would want somebody chiming in with the accomplishments that TRD has made, because legacy has not done well this year. So that was interesting, but cool deal that they did give David Wilson a good send out like that for TRD. He has done a great job with TRD since he's been there. There's no doubt about that. I hope it's Daewoo and the return of Saturn. Why not? Hey, the return. Hey, don't sleep on Saturn. Saturn's run forever, my man. I can totally understand why Tony said F NASCAR, says Shaw. Life's too short. Hey, I can totally understand why he said it too. I think a lot of anybody that's worked under or with NASCAR has had moments where they've definitely said that, in my opinion. Thanks again. Good night. No problem, Jamie Schweitzer, and good night to all of you as well. All right, final poll question. 53% saying not a big deal, so that's going to be the winner. And I'm going to work on this video, and then I'll record it in the morning or whenever I wake up. Until then, peace.